Thank you so much. How many people in here have lost something? Right. We lose things along the way. A job, a parent, our virginity. Well, I want to tell you a story about how I lost everything, including my brains, and I got them back because of music. So I want to just tell you a little bit about myself. At 7 years old, I had a dream that I could play violin. But we were on welfare, so I decided I was going to take up acting. And I bought my violin with the money I made from my first commercial. The notion of being a self-made person, it came very easily. It came as second nature from a very early age. And by self-made, I mean that I started paying rent at 8. I was essentially supporting myself from 8 years old on. I was the first person in my family to graduate from college, which I paid for. I was a poli-sci major at Brown. My social justice was my passion. Though both my parents were musicians, I was the first person in my family to get a record deal and tour the world. One of my great highlights was opening for Jimmy Page and Robert Plant on their last US tour. I've released 4 records, and I was a part of Herbie Hancock's band. I was an honorary member of George Clinton's Parliament Funkadelic. When my first record came out, I did what every self-respecting artist would do. No, I did not snort my first check. I bought a house. But it wasn't just a house. It was my sanctuary in the trees of Laurel Canyon. You see, my mom, my dearest person in the world, had just died. So it was really important to me as an orphan to make a home for myself and make sure that every place that my eyes landed was something that would remind me of the warmth of their love, of my mom's love and my grandmother's love. So I had these pictures and treasures that I had inherited. I built a recording studio in the basement, and it was a dream come true. It was like the inside of the I Dream of Jeannie bottle. It had multicolored Indian silks on the ceiling, and it had red and purple velvet walls, and a plush purple velvet couch. It was right out of the bottle. And it even had its own special generator. I spared no expense, and I was really living the dream. But the day after I did The Tonight Show to promote my last record, I started smelling exhaust fumes in my house, and I didn't know why, but it was making me sick. The next few months, I would seek out the help of what became a parade of experts, from industrial hygienists to asbestos engineers to mold experts to the Lung Association. And I even found a toxicologist. It wasn't just any toxicologist. I lived in LA, so it was Aaron Brockovich's toxicologist. And as each expert came through, looking for the source of the problem, I became sicker and sicker. And my brain got foggier and foggier. I literally could not process information coming out of your mouth. My intellect was at the core of my identity, and I couldn't process the lyrics to Mary Had a Little Lamb. I probably shouldn't have been driving, but I had no choice. And one time I got confused in traffic and thought that red meant go, and I barreled into the not-so-understanding driver in front of me. In a city where I grew up, I actually got lost going home. Finally, it was discovered that the special generator that was in my studio had been melting, and that I was breathing melting wires and flame retardant for 6 months. That was what was giving me the bronchitis and the ear infections. Now, this is not good, but it gets so much worse. So what happened was, in the process of finding the melting generator, we had disturbed the foundation of the house I lived in, and we had unleashed the carcinogenic pesticide that's in the foundation of every house that's built between 1948 and 88. It's called chlordane, and it's in 30 to 60 million homes in America. It's outlawed now, but they're still shipping it overseas. And it's deadly. It has no half-life, meaning it doesn't go away. It just breaks down to a derivative called heptachlor, which is 10 times more powerful. And that got into the heating and air conditioning system in my house, and it contaminated everything I owned. And by everything, I mean my instruments, my pictures, my eyeliner. I found out from the woman who started the online support group for victims of chlordane that what I was suffering from was called toxic inebriation. I had what was called emotional lability, meaning I was a nutcase. I was completely emotionally erratic. I was having neurological damage, and she said that prolonged exposure to this stuff would actually cause brain damage, which is all well-documented side effects of pesticide poisoning. She said, I know you don't want to hear this, but just walk away from everything. Leave it all behind. Now, she had suffered a brain tumor, and her daughter became mentally retarded from this stuff. So I thought, well, I understand, but that's fine for you. I'm different. I'm a self-made person. I'm going to overcome this. I set about saving my sanctuary in the trees, and I brought in men in white suits, hazmat companies, to scrub every little crevice with toothbrushes and save my treasures, and to clean the inside of my grandmother's piano, which I was obsessing over, and I wrote my last record on. Everything I tried to save contaminated the next clean space. The chemical bonded with everything. And if I wore clothes in the house and then I got into the car, it would contaminate the car, and then it would contaminate the next new place. It's that crazy. And I thought I was going crazy. I just took to wearing layers of garbage bags everywhere because I didn't want to spread the chemical anymore. I ended up evacuating and having to get rid of everything I owned, including my grandmother's grand piano, including my pictures, all of my pictures. I had to get rid of everything except for my 2 violins, which I kept in trash bags. And I spent about 40 grand trying to save the house, which thankfully I was able to do, but insurance doesn't cover pesticides. I had to figure out how to get my brains back. So I tried everything. I was so desperate. I tried a drug detox where I sweat in a sauna for every day for 4 hours a day for 6 months. I wasn't so worried about losing my possessions anymore, but I had lost my brains. I couldn't think. I had lost my ability to write songs. I lost a lot of work. I'm sure the garbage bags didn't help. When I showed up for the drug detox, I was so confused that I couldn't figure out how to weigh myself. I tried neurofeedback. I did hyperbaric oxygen therapy. I did brain exercises, special diets. It wasn't until I started practicing my violin again every day that I started to notice myself being able to think clearly again. I did a little research, and I found that neurologists all over the world have been finding that music learning literally rewires the brain. Electroencephalograms show that musicians, when they're learning music, actually are developing the entire brain, and those parts of the brain that are being activated, which is the entire brain, are literally growing when you learn how to play music. And it also, the Oxford Research Journal actually said that even listening to music has helped rehabilitating people with brain damage. It literally rewires the brain. I realized that I had just experienced a miracle. The dream that I had as a 7-year-old to play violin ended up saving my life as an adult. I started writing songs again, and I started scoring films. I'm almost done with my new record. What was awakened in me was not only my brain, but my sense of connection to people all over the world. I want to leave you with one of the first songs that I wrote after I got my brains back. It was inspired by the sanitation workers who marched in 1968 and the placards that they wore that said, "I am a man." They were just asking to be acknowledged as human beings. I want to follow it by one of my favorite pieces of music that I learned when I was on the road with George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic, aptly named Maggot Brain. A man, I will be counted. The Lord who brought me here wants me to be free. Brought me to my knees, but you can kill the dreamer. You can never kill the dream.
but you can care.
dream. Is Mira Russell. And this is Itay Disraeli. And I'm Lili Haydn. Thank you so much.